Hi everybody and welcome to this video on the Scorpio full supermoon happening on the 26th or 27th of April 2021. Hi everybody and welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, welcome to Saturn Secrets. We're going over the full supermoon in Scorpio today. We go over all the new moons and the full moons and all the general horoscopes and taroscopes and all that good stuff. So if you're interested, hit the subscribe button for more. So this is a full supermoon in Scorpio. And that means that the energy is more intense because it's a supermoon, but also because it's in the most intense sign of the zodiac. The sky at the minute is absolutely peppered with fixed sign energy. Fixed sign has its plus and its minus points. And the reason that it's a great modality is because it is tenacious, it can see things through, it is dedicated, it is committed. The minus side of this is that it can be very stubborn and it can get stuck. So the first half of this month has been focused on the Aries energy of pushing through, of seeking the new. And the Taurus energy is about committing to what we have decided to venture into. And while this has its positives, this full moon is not really playing around, energetically speaking. And that's not to scare anybody. This full moon is at 7 degrees of Scorpio and it's going to be opposing the sun, as usual with a full moon. It's going to be opposing Mercury, Venus and Uranus. And that is quite a lot of oppositions. It's also going to be squaring Saturn and trining Mars. So when we talk about oppositions, we talk about two opposite energies. We talk about polarity. This is a very intense energy that wants to be felt. Both signs want to be felt. And the full moon highlights the opposing energy between the two signs and what they represent to us. So we have Taurus, and Taurus is very much about conservation, preservation. It's about security. It's about stability. And Scorpio is about transformation. It's about death. It's about rebirth. And it's very much the common sense versus the intuition. It's what I can tell from my surroundings what this is. I'm looking at my surroundings and saying what this is. And Scorpio is about just feeling what it is. So it's common sense versus intuition. So around this time, you're really being asked to listen to your intuitive hunches. Now, these signs are both notorious for possessiveness, though of different things. Taurus can be very possessive about what they own, it can be possessive about money, and Scorpio can be very possessive about relationships. The 8th house is where we have merging with another, merging with souls, merging with another person. Taurus is about what we accumulate and what we place a value on. And to an extent as well, Taurus and Scorpio both are very much associated with ego. And so with Taurus, we think about value. What do we feel we are worth? What do we place our value on? And Scorpio, the type of ego they have is that death, ego, rebirth. It's about shedding the skin. It's actually the snake. So I'm wearing a snake ring to represent the Scorpio full moon. Shedding a skin and moving on to something new, creating something new and letting some part of ourselves die off rather than clinging to what we have always known. So with both these energies opposing, on opposite ends, they come together to find balance. So it can highlight the differences in order to find the common ground, in order to balance out the opposing ideals. Now, both the sun and the full moon are getting support from Mars. So to the Taurus energy, Mars represents relationships. To the Scorpio energy, Mars represents the self because Mars is the traditional ruler of Scorpio. Now, Mars is going to be in Cancer around this full moon, which isn't necessarily so comfortable for Mars, but with the Cancerian energy, it can improve dedication to your home, your background, your family, that type of thing. But it's also representing energy. Mars represents energy. So both the full moon and the sun are getting energy from Mars at this time. What the energy is to do is a lot more up to you than you think. The polarity between Taurus and Scorpio is about holding on to what we have, maintaining, which is Taurus, and transforming, letting go, which is Scorpio. Now, as I say, they're both supported by Mars at this time, and Mars rules energy. And it takes a lot more energy to resist change than to simply let it be. Now, the sun is going to be conjunct Uranus at this time. It's going to be doing that every Taurus season while Uranus is in Taurus. And this is asking us, with the sun being our ego, and then the full moon in Scorpio also representing the ego, to find innovation, to be more comfortable with change, to work past old scripts, old narratives. And this Scorpio full moon is quite ruthless. It's really showing us, especially with its opposition to Uranus, where we are resisting change to the point it is unhealthy, where we're pushing this constant need to maintain something that may not be working. So it is typical around this full moon that if you're really pushing something away from the change that it needs or that it's trying to get, if you're really trying to control something, the harder it will be and the more you will use your energy. And trying to maintain something that really wants to change is very unhealthy for the body. So whenever we have something with Uranus going on, if we're trying desperately to stop these changes from happening, we can end up investing so much energy and resistance that we can make ourselves sick. So this full moon is asking you what it is that you need to change, what it is that you need to transform in your life in order to move on to the next phase, in order to embrace new energy. There are higher things than the ego's will, and to those one must bow. This is a quote by Carl Jung, and I think it perfectly encapsulates the full moon in Scorpio energy, where we need to trust in a higher process, or where we need to trust in a new beginnings and in what we're overcoming in terms of change. The ego likes to hold on to things. The ego likes to resist because the ego believes that holding on to things and holding on to the way of doing things that we always have done is security, is safety. And this quote suggests that perhaps there are higher forces at play, things are changing for our advantage rather than our disadvantage. So the Scorpio full moon is likely to bring up themes for all of us about destructuring and trusting in the higher power, the higher will than just our ego, and our ego keeping us safe by holding on to what we know to be true or what we've always done. In fact, there is a high energy with this full moon, this super moon, that it is about changing your narrative, changing your internal story, your internal script of being who you have always been. And in particular in the regards of money, but also intimacy. The Scorpio energy is very intimate. It's to do with merging of souls, merging of finances, merging of resources. Taurus is about value, the money that we accumulate, the income that we have. And so this is a very, very powerful full moon to let go of the need to control these things. The need to control when you meet a person, when you marry a person, what you share with a person. And it's always important to maintain healthy boundaries, but to let go of this old story that's going on in your head. The Taurus energy, because the sun and Uranus are linking, and Uranus is obviously linking to the full moon too, there could be a lot of financial surprises going on in the world at this time. And the thing about Uranus is it's so innovative, it's very hard to predict what it's going to do. And in Taurus, it is really shaking up the financial system. So around this time, it is better to not necessarily make huge moves in terms of money, or make huge moves at all, spurred on by Uranus, because a lot of things are going to be changing around this time in terms of finances in particular. And this doesn't have to be a bad thing, though. It doesn't have to be a bad thing. Uranus has this misconception, this outdated misconception that Uranus just comes in like a wrecking ball and just smashes stuff up. It's not really. It's not the Incredible Hulk of the Zodiac. You have to bear that in mind. Although the Hulk is actually quite an interesting analogy, because he's this incredibly intelligent person who holds in his anger and then it unleashes itself in a destructive force. That's Scorpio. That's the Scorpio energy of overcoming your inner emotions, your shadow side. Because of its link to Saturn, if you've repressed emotions, if you've repressed feelings, if you've repressed desires, a lot of them could come up at this full moon in a way that is somewhat explosive. But because of Scorpio, it's inherently private, so it's likely to do with something you would be dealing on a private matter, something very personal to yourself. And it's therefore quite important around this full moon, I think, to be very gentle with yourself and very loving with yourself, and also embrace the energy that this is coming to the surface so that I can change, so that I can transform, and that I can have a phoenix moment. Any change that happens around this time is likely to be a personal phoenix moment for anybody that encounters it. Let's not forget that Scorpio rules buried treasure. And by buried treasure, it means the things inside of us, our gifts, our talents, our quirks that we have suppressed, that become our shadow side, the part of ourselves that we turn away from because either we don't have the time or we think it won't be accepted. It's likely for a lot of people, I think, that anything that comes up in terms of the shadow side are the talents and the gifts that you have suppressed because they don't make money. We have had just about everything monetized in this current day society. And although that's not a bad thing because people can make money from their gifts, there will still be people who have had to turn away from their talents, maybe even just because of the pandemic. A lot of actors have been out of work. A lot of musicians have been out of work. And to some people, because it's not making them money, it's very easy to turn away from these things. It's very easy for anybody to turn away from a gift they possess that isn't their career. And so with the shadow side, you can bring up these feelings and engage with them, and then maybe start doing the things that set your soul on fire, that feel like fun, that feel like good energy. You know, it's important to do that because Jupiter is actually working with these energies. Even though it's in fixed sign Aquarius, it's just about to move into Pisces. So it's forming a loose trine with the Scorpio full moon. So having fun is a good thing. And in that sense, the Scorpio full moon can strip us down to who we truly are and show us what we didn't know we had, what we didn't know we possessed. Part of transformation is seeing the new, what we can possess, what we can use, what we can change. And sometimes when we're so focused on what we need to accumulate and what we need to have, we forget what tools we have, what talents we have, what gifts we have that can be utilized as well and maybe even make you money in the future. But that doesn't necessarily have to be the goal. With Scorpio, it is about transforming and moving forward, especially from fear. Especially moving from what has been a bit of a cage on you to this point, or what even has blocked you from intimate relationships and emotional attachments. That's Scorpio energy too. It can bring up feelings of suspicion. It can bring up feelings of a fear of betrayal. It can bring up a feeling of lack in oneself. And all of these things can be overcome. It just takes that openness to change the narrative. And the brain's a bit of a Taurus. It can really hold on to the old narrative. The brain is a bit of a fixed sign. It's incredibly loyal in its way, but it loves patterns. It loves to predict. It loves to play it safe. And it loves to have a story, an old story. And it can be a lot more effort to change these stories. You will know if you ever try to change yourself, it is nearly impossible to change others because changing yourself is so very hard, but it's not impossible. It just comes with that dedication, that fixed sign dedication, that same tenacity and commitment that can keep fixed signs stuck. Can also be their saving grace in moving forward and committing to something new. So because this full moon is opposite Uranus and the sun is also conjunct Uranus, it's the tightest aspect of this full moon. I wanted to talk about Uranus himself because his story is very appropriate for this full moon. So Uranus was in mythology he was in charge of limitless space. He was the inventor and creator of nature. And so he was the one who actually fastened the beautiful wings on the butterfly. So Uranus created many beautiful things. And along with his wife Gaia, he created many things, like the Titans, for example, things of wonder. But he also created some things he was quite disgusted by. And so he would put them back into the womb of Gaia because he was so repulsed by his own creations. And he kept creating more and more things that were beautiful, things that were not so beautiful, and he was continuing that feeling of repulsion for the things he created that he didn't want. Now, as we're all creators, this is quite appropriate for this energy because sometimes we look at our lives and we realize we have created through our thoughts things that we didn't want. You know, maybe we have the mental conditioning that we have to have a certain job that we don't really want, and we look at it and we feel disgust, we feel unhappy with it. And then sometimes we look at things that we did create in our lives, things that we have relationships we've formed, homes that we've built, that type of thing, projects that we've done that are really beautiful. And both are part of the overall project. Now, Gaia, understandably, because he was shoving stuff back into her womb that she didn't really want to hold on to, was quite annoyed by this. And their son Cronus, who is actually Saturn, castrated Uranus, which ceased that creation, although the castration itself led to the birth of Aphrodite as it fell into the sea. Without being too graphic, I will just stick to the points. So Saturn is, of course, restriction. Now, this full moon and the sun are also square Saturn. So where we're too practical or where we're too restrictive, sometimes we can just halt creation for fear of making something disgusting, or fear of getting something wrong, or fear of being too out there, being too innovative. That fear, that restriction can really halt us in our creativity. So we have to accept that sometimes we create things that we don't want. And so this brings us back to the point of change. Sometimes we have to be innovative. Sometimes we have to go against the status quo. Sometimes we have to go against the old story in order to create something beautiful. And sometimes there are ramifications of this. Sometimes we feel a bit lonelier, or sometimes we feel a bit scared of change, or sometimes people can be very threatened by those that are innovative, those that look different, those that have different ideas, those that question things. It can evoke a sense of fear in certain people, but sometimes going against the status quo is necessary. Sometimes going against our own status quo, our own self-limiting beliefs, and our own narrative is also necessary. So if you feel around this full moon that you want to try a new trend for yourself, or you want to try something different, that's your intuition telling you what you need to transcend. Because of the Scorpiophonic energy with this and the impulsiveness of Uranus, though, I want to say this. Scorpio and Taurus are notoriously loyal and respectable signs. They offer respect. They're loyal. And with this full moon, Uranus can be very provocative. You know, there's a dark side of Uranus. Sometimes we seek change just to disrupt. And so at this time, in particular with your relationships, but also in particular with your money, show respect to yourself, respect to your money, respect to your significant other, respect to your relationships. Because that energy from Uranus can sometimes feel that we just want to be difficult, and that feeling will pass. So if you feel like doing something incredibly disruptive or unusual around this full moon, I wouldn't actually recommend it. The changes that are going to be felt around this time are very much internal. So that is the energy for the Scorpio supermoon. I'm going to be using the Animal Spirit deck in order to get some additional energies into this full moon and what it may mean. I'm also going to be going into what it means for each zodiac sign. The timestamps will be listed below for that as well. So for this Scorpio, the shark. Beautiful. I'm going to do one more for this Scorpio full moon. The cobra. That's not appropriate. The cobra, the snake. Shedding of skin. So let's have a little look at these cards. Okay, so the shark is incredibly appropriate. When this card comes up, it means that something is below the surface that needs to be exposed. The Scorpio full moon itself is about exposing something. Scorpio rules secrets. So it could be that there is a secret within you that needs to be exposed. It could be something in your unconscious mind that you've buried, maybe a talent, maybe a desire, maybe a need, maybe even feelings about a past relationship or a past experience, something that needs to come to the surface. The thing about the shark is that it's only dangerous when we don't acknowledge it. And because a lot of us don't have too much insight into our unconscious mind and our unconscious programming, and in particular fears, they can be dangerous because they can lead us to take action that's not in alignment with what we really want or who we truly are. We can be steered by the fear rather than steered by our dreams. And even putting more importance on our fear than our dreams is something that in life leads to regret. So the shark can be when you feel that there's just this energy, this feeling circling you that needs to be addressed, that needs to be felt, that needs to be understood. Sharks are notoriously misunderstood creatures. I think that shark attacks are actually incredibly rare, but they are really vilified as these demons of the sea, when in reality they're actually just minding their own business. And it's people going into their homes that makes them feel threatened or makes them want to attack. You know, they're not necessarily seeking out to attack. And this inner feeling could be very much like a shark. You're scared to go into those waters. You're scared to see into that, what lies beneath. You're scared to understand your shadow side, for example. The shark is a very shadowy energy, and it's very Scorpiophonic, because what we repress will eventually come up. Everything floats to the surface eventually. And thus the shark represents the fear we have to be ourselves, to be totally authentic, and to be totally honest. Maybe there's something around the Scorpio full moon you'd really like to ask for, something you'd really like to say, something you would really like to address, maybe an old feeling that you would like to transform. And the only way with the shark energy to transform during this Scorpio full moon is to be honest with the self. Now, the Cobra energy actually represents spirit guides, spiritual guardians, our guardian angel, a spiritual master or a teacher. And it represents as well that inner voice, that inner wisdom that we have. We think of the cobra coming out of the basket to the music. It's just that the music must be played to get the cobra out. So on a vibrational level with this full moon, it may be that you have some inner wisdom, some inner instinct that the vibrations of the full moon itself, the Scorpio energy, will actually pull to the surface. And this can be very important to listen to. Now, Scorpio energy, because it can be paranoid, because it can be fearful and jealous, can sometimes find that it confuses the anxious voice with the intuitive voice. Unless you're in an actual situation where your life is being threatened by something, in a physical sense, it's usually that the feeling of anxiety is the feeling of anxiety. Intuition is much more calm, it's much more peaceful, and it's much more knowing, and you're present with it. As I say, if you're just sitting in your house and you suddenly get this overwhelming feeling of anxiety about your job, because you're not in the present moment, it's very likely that it is to do with anxiety rather than intuition. So that is one way to differentiate between the two. But the Cobra energy asks us what we're ready to learn on a spiritual level. So it may be around this full moon that you learn something about psychology, which is very Scorpio. It may be that you learn something about spirituality, which is again very Scorpio. And it may be that you even learn something about the themes of mystery, the themes of death, the themes of afterlife around this full moon that make you feel really very enlightened. The Cobra energy is associated with enlightenment and that spiritual mastery. So with this energy and the shark energy, it may be that there is an inner knowing with you, or an inner sense of peace that wants to come to the surface, but also something that you want to transform and transcend that has possibly kept you in a state of fear for quite a while. I think this Scorpio full moon is going to add a lot of bravery to people in order to shift the inner narrative, shift the inner perspective, and shift what's no longer working for you internally, especially if it's putting a block on your money, on your relationships, or even your desire to have a completely different life, a completely different story. The Scorpio full moon will give you that courage to break free if you just be honest with yourself and listen to that voice and start making those changes on an internal level rather than pushing external. Because one of the things with Uranus is that if we place the blame and the responsibility on others, we will be incredibly unhappy, and we may lose our innovative genius and abilities to create. So if you want to know what it means for your zodiac sign, the timestamps are listed below. Thank you for listening, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye. Hello, my beautiful Scorpios. So Scorpio, this is in your first house if you're Scorpio rising, or the full moon could be aspecting your sun if you're a Scorpio sun, or your moon if you're a Scorpio moon. It's likely that the Scorpio moon people and the Scorpio ascendant people might feel this the most intense. But if you're a Scorpio sun who is born within the first week of Scorpio season, so if you're an October Scorpio in particular, you could really feel this very intensely. This Scorpio full moon for you is asking you, Scorpio, where you get in your own way in terms of your relationships, and where you get in your own way in terms of opposition, things that aren't going your way or things that feel like obstacles to you, and how you work with them in order to transcend them. For a lot of Scorpios, the feelings coming up for you surrounding relationships is where you allow a partner to have space or freedom, or where you allow yourself to be completely authentic in choosing a partner, or how you relate to a partner in general. Now, there is going to be some harmony and some friction to your sector of the home. So for a lot of you, if you've been dating someone where there's been an issue between your relationship even your marriage and your family. This is going to be a full moon that is able to bring anything to the surface that needs to be addressed. Or for a lot of Scorpios, it's going to signify really heading into a period in a relationship where you either get very serious or you maybe even live with the person, meet families, that type of thing. So for a lot of Scorpios, this full moon is going to highlight how you get in your own way with these things. It may also show you, coincidentally, how much you've overcome the obstacles you have within yourself in terms of dating and relationships and marriage and that type of thing. And a moment to really be proud of yourself, especially if it goes back to family interactions at a young age or something like that. It's really how you can be very proud of yourself for what you've overcome. So I did draw you some cards. The first card that came up was the Miracle card, which I think is really beautiful. And then we have Hathor, Receptivity. We have the Knight of Cups. And we have Life Purpose. So the main message that I'm getting from the Scorpio is that in terms of your love life, there may very well be a miracle. So because a lot of you that are single are going to be experiencing the conjunctions between the Taurus energy and Uranus, as well as the oppositions to the full moon in your sign, a lot of you may meet someone out of the blue if you're single. The Knight of Cups and the Miracle, they might just suddenly come out of nowhere. For a lot of you in a relationship, you may decide to propose, you may decide to get married, or you may decide to get a house, or you may decide to get a pet, or anything like this. I think with the fourth house being involved, it's likely to do with moving in with somebody, or getting a house with somebody, or property with somebody, or something like that, or at least a conversation surrounding it. A lot of you could be getting engaged at this point, or a lot of you could be meeting someone out of the blue, or even hearing from somebody out of the blue that has a romantic interest in you, or someone who has feelings for you. So falling in love, wedding proposals, the need to balance emotions, an invitation to a social event. So if you're invited to events, Scorpio, I suggest you go. Not only that, in terms of career, with the Life Purpose and Receptivity and the Knight and the Miracle, if you've been out of work for a while, or you have your eye on a dream position, this could very well be someone offering you a dream position, a dream job, being open to receiving. And if a lot of you are feeling at this time like Uranus, where you look around at some of the things that you've created and you don't like it, and you want to be more aligned with things that feel like a life purpose, which doesn't have to be a job, by the way, tell the universe you're open to receiving it. Just put the feelers out there. Mingle with people as well with the Knight of Cups and the Receptivity card. Be open to people. Be open to offers. Be open to help. Put your word out there. I know that you're very private, and you may find that your ego or your privacy around this full moon is standing in the way of what it is that you really want. So put the ego down. Be open to hearing what people have to say. Be open to mingling with people, talking to people, letting people help as well. I know that that can be very hard for Scorpio people, but there seems to be a miracle on the way. So that is something to enjoy, Scorpio. I hope you have a beautiful full moon. I love you very much. I'll talk to you soon. Bye. Hi, Sagittarius. So welcome to your Scorpio full moon segment. This is emotional. Just want to get it out of the way. This is an emotional supermoon. It's a supermoon in your 12th house. That's huge. That's really pulling up some emotions from the deep. So for you, I know that if you have watched many astrology videos on this, people have this really outdated nature perspective on the 12th house. The 12th house is basically, it's called hidden enemies because it's what's in you. It's what lies beneath. It's where you sabotage yourself. And so this full moon could really, especially in terms of work, but in terms of health, in terms of physical well-being, in terms of service, in terms of gratitude, all these different things, this full moon, Sagittarius, could really highlight what's going on within you that is keeping you stuck, that is keeping you from healing. The full moon, being a supermoon, being more intense in your 12th house, is saying that there's some stuff that may come up that needs to be addressed, that you might need to work through. Now, with it being Scorpio energy in your 12th house, it could be quite deep. For a lot of you, it could be to do with, even your cards reflect this, to be honest. It could be to do with releasing a past betrayal, or a past infidelity, or a past regret. Something like that could be coming up, very emotional around this time. Maybe it's sparked by a conversation Maybe it's sparked by something you see, maybe it's sparked by reading something, but there's feelings that are coming up with this full moon for you that's unprocessed betrayal, quite potentially. Because we also have the Death card, release, the end of a phase of situation, the end of a phase or a situation, spiritual transformation, time to move on. We also have endings and beginnings. And we have as well self-respect. So I feel for a lot of Sagittarians, particularly Sagittarius rising, that this full moon is to do with releasing something from the past. The 12th house is usually endings of a very long drawn out energy, but usually the subconscious, the unconscious mind. So it's releasing something that you've held on to, maybe not even knowingly. But because of its opposition to the Taurus axis, which is for you service, and your work, your habits, your health, for a lot of you, you could be realizing that you're experiencing a pain in the body because it's untrapped emotions. One of the videos that is worth looking up is to do with the emotional codes, whereby each part of your body signifies a particularly trapped emotion. And there's this very easy process, and it's free, by the way. I'm not plugging anything for you, it's just a video. It is free. It's a way of understanding and releasing feelings that are trapped within you that are manifesting as physical symptoms. If you are, though, experiencing physical symptoms, it is worth getting that checked out by a medic. But for you, mainly Sagittarius, what this is about letting the past go because something new wants to come in. Something new wants to come in. And also having, with this self-respect card, the sense of self to move forward, either alone, maybe from leaving behind toxic people, maybe even with that Aquarius energy, toxic neighbors. Could be, some of you could be experiencing that you're needing to deal with some stuff with siblings or deal with some things with neighbors. Maybe you're leaving your neighborhood. But a lot of this is processing the feeling of deception, I think, and being able to move forward from it so that it doesn't impact your future. Maybe some of you have felt that in the workplace people have slandered you, or people have been unfair, or maybe somebody deliberately upset your business, or maybe even left you a bad review on TripAdvisor or something like that, that's really made you feel very upset, and it's maybe dented your confidence a little bit or something like that. It could be small, it could be big. But a lot of you are finding around this full moon that you're processing some feelings of deception. And it could be that you feel you've deceived yourself, you feel you've gone down the wrong path, or maybe some of you really regret the way things went with a friend or a neighbor or a relationship, and you're processing those feelings too. And it's just so that you can move forward from them to much better things, because as you can see, she's moving towards a castle with a little fairy, and she's divinely guided. And it's saying as well that whatever you're processing, it's all meant to happen. And I don't know if you can see, but there's a lotus flower here, which is about opening the heart chakra, so that you can let love in, and you can let good things in, and you can let blessings in. The Scorpio full moon might feel very emotional, but it is so that you can heal and transcend whatever's holding you back. Because the worst thing that could happen, Sagittarius, is to carry all this stuff internally and not know about it. Think back to the shark card. If you know about it, you can address it. So that is what I have for you, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye. Hi Capricorn, and welcome to your part for the Scorpio full moon. So Capricorn, this Scorpio full moon is happening in your 11th house if you're Capricorn rising, and it is going to be opposite your 5th house of romance and creativity and children. And it's also going to be aspecting your sector of money and of worth and of value. So this full moon for you is likely to be wrapping up some sort of social or group project, something you've been working on with a group of people. It may be that you've actually manifested a specific wish, because the 11th house is to do with aspirations and goals. It may be that something is manifesting around this time for you in terms of a long-term goal. Maybe a friendship is reaching a new level. Maybe you're getting very close to somebody, or maybe you have met somebody, because there could be romance around this time. There may also be an aspiration of a pregnancy or something of that ilk. It could be that you have been hoping to get pregnant, and with all the energies in your 5th house, particularly Uranus, you may be experiencing a surprise blessing in that way. Or it may be that you are experiencing a surprise blessing in terms of money, or you're finding that a wish that's come true for you is actually going to cost a little bit more than you expected. So I have your cards here, and I've noticed some interesting themes. So Scorpio, as we know, is the sign of death. It's the sign of rebirth. It's the sign of transition. And one of the cards that came up for you is the grief card. So this can be that an aspect or a chapter of your life has changed, or it may be that some of you are just processing grief at this point for something that did end before. It's possible because, you know, it could just be that you're processing something that didn't quite work out the way that you wanted it to, something that didn't quite manifest as you'd hoped it would, or something that didn't work out the way that it did before. For some of you as well, because Mars has been going through your 6th house, some of you might literally, as I can see with the little dog here, be mourning a pet. Some of you might have lost a pet in the Mars and Gemini cycle or something like that, that makes you feel like you're processing grief, because I do feel like a lot of you are going to be processing some heavy emotions and maybe mourning what could have been, or mourning an opportunity that you really wanted. The good news is for a lot of you that with the 6 of Swords, 6 of Cups and the Ace of Cups, a lot of you are moving into something new. So with the 6 of Swords and the 6 of Cups, it's about moving on from the past, the end of a difficult situation, taking a trip. And there's a lot to do with children coming up. So I do feel with the Ace of Cups, the 6 of Cups, and the guiding children card, a lot of you could be having children, having more children, working with children, guiding children, qualifying to work with children might be something as well. And also counselling others. So these are themes that might come up for you around this time. A lot of you could be spending time with your own kids, or a lot of you could be getting incredibly creative and embracing the gifts and talents you had as a child that you've not got to use in adult life. And you could find it very healing. Some of you may also be getting a new home with this card. And for a lot of you as well, I have to say with the serendipity card, you might be meeting someone or reuniting with somebody where the timing wasn't right, or the timing might now be right for something you really want. So that could be having a child with your partner, getting a home. It could be meeting somebody out of the blue, that type of thing. These are really saying that the timing was not right before with something that didn't work out. And now things are starting to take place. I feel like with the serendipity card, there's some aspect of it's simply meant to be. And with the Scorpio full moon, especially because it's happening in your 11th house, I feel like it's possibly a long-awaited desire of yours, a long-awaited wish that could be coming true at this time, something that you have really wanted. And it could be with, if you're single, you could be meeting somebody with that Uranus aspect who's not quite what you expected, or quite bohemian, or maybe quite different from you, but you feel really spiritually in alignment with this person or something like that. It could also be for a lot of you that you embrace that you have a child who's very different to you, or a child that's expressing themselves. You might realize one of your kids is very artistic, or some of you might be having a very artistic kid in the future if you're pregnant around this full moon. It may also be with this energy that you are reuniting with an old friend. That's something that could be coming up to a friend that you've had since childhood, or a friend that makes you embrace your inner child, something like that, Capricorn. So these are actually really beautiful cards. And if you are processing grief, just know that I'm thinking of you at this time, because that's a very upsetting thing to go through. I actually know that the Queen of England has Capricorn ascendant and did just lose her husband. So that made me think of her whenever I first saw this. But obviously, it's not necessarily literal grief, just bear that in mind. You could be grieving something that's happened in the past, or something that was missed. And if you are grieving a missed opportunity, Capricorn, just know that it wasn't the right time. Maybe it wasn't the right person, or the right person at the right time. Something's aligning for you, and it's really beautiful. So that is what I have for you, Capricorn. I'll talk to you soon. Bye. Hi Aquarius, welcome to your segment on the Scorpio full moon. So this Scorpio full moon is happening in your career zone, your status, your reputation, and it's going to be opposing all the planets in Taurus, which is to do with your home life, your family. So a lot of you could be feeling around this full moon that feelings or stressors surrounding the home, work, the balance between your house and your career, or your reputation and your family, or something like that. Energies could come to a head for you. Now it's linked in some capacities, Aquarius, I must say, to the past in some way, shape or form. I feel like for a lot of you, with the cards that I've got, some of you could have grown up in a very religious household, because I have the Hierophant here, and I also have the Release card. Now, it's funny with this being a Scorpio full moon, because Scorpio does rule death, that we've had cards like Grief and Release and stuff. He's standing in a graveyard. those type of cards aren't coming up to represent literal death, but they are coming up to be the release of something. And I feel for you that if you grew up in a very religious or controlling household, some of you may be experiencing feelings about that around this time, and you may be releasing some of the old narratives that have been printed in your brain from that upbringing. For a lot of you, that could also translate as commitment issues with the Hierophant here, and the release card. Some of you could be dealing with the Taurus as well, but I think a lot of you are maybe seeing with the Unity card, which is the Hierophant, that you could be overcoming some issues in terms of commitment, or some issues in terms of seeing a traditional viewpoint. Be careful around this full moon of just initiating a bolted horse type energy, where you just suddenly bolt out of a situation because you feel a little bit triggered by something. Maybe sit with it and see what it is, because it's likely with the Taurus energy in your 4th house that your past is being triggered in some capacity. And it's important not to sabotage something for yourself because of that fear coming up. Just to let you know, just to give you that little bit of a warning, because I'm seeing with the High Priestess and the Queen of Wands that you will get a lot of confidence from listening to your intuition and not your anxiety. So I explained at the start of the video how you know the difference. But if you listen to your intuition, have patience, consider carefully what you want before acting, High Priestess and the Queen of Wands. So I feel for a lot of you that listening to that inner voice of wisdom rather than that past narrative that may belong to either a father or a male or someone with high status, maybe a priest or something like that, that might be a negative narrative in your head from somebody else, and you need to get in touch with your intuition and your wisdom. And also for a lot of you Aquarians, some of you could be getting involved in some sort of feminist viewpoint, maybe a march or maybe an organization, depending on where you are and if you can or can't do that. A lot of you could be getting involved in human rights. A lot of you could be getting involved in female human rights, and female reproductive rights in particular is something that I'm getting with the Aphrodite card as well. So a lot of you could be doing something like that. I feel like it's very, I know that Amal Clooney is an Aquarius, and I'm just sort of getting her energy from these, especially with the creativity card as well and the inner goddess. So because these energies are pressurizing your 1st house of self with Saturn there, be careful of not limiting yourself too much in terms of looking after yourself, investing in your hair or your beauty or your clothes. Be careful of making too many sacrifices there. You might be feeling like you need to sacrifice your happiness or your money for your family or your career, or accept less than you deserve. And this full moon's asking you to really get creative with your idea of how much you're worth. Make it a bit bigger, make it a bit more expansive. You deserve good things, you deserve good prospects. And a lot of you could find around this full moon that you're manifesting a career opportunity, especially if you're someone who is a healer or someone who is very spiritual, or someone who's working in human rights or working with people, that type of thing. So giving back in some capacity. A lot of you could be getting some good news there. So that is what I have for you, Aquarius, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye. Hi Pisces, and welcome to your segment on the Scorpio full moon. So Pisces, this is happening in your 9th house of travel, of higher education, and of philosophy. So around this time, you might find that you are reading more books, getting more knowledge, you're more hungry for knowledge. And this is really going to benefit you, especially in terms of your communication, your neighborhood, being out in the community. A lot of you could be the person that folk want to listen to at this time. It could be that a lot of you have some very exciting insights, because one of the things I have for you is the service card and the star. So happy times, make positive, optimistic, long-term plans on the right path. So some of you around this full moon could be making plans to travel in the future. Because there's a bit of tension, just make sure that you have a checklist or something in place if you are traveling, because there could be delays around this time with the interruptions from Uranus. But making long-term plans to travel, or making long-term plans to go on an adventure, is something that could be very exciting for you. But I also feel like a lot of people are going to want to come to you for advice, and a lot of people are going to want to come to you for your services in work as well. So with this Pisces, there is going to be aspects of tension to your 12th house, which is Aquarius, with Saturn being there. But for you, this is coming across as people really wanting to get your spiritual advice, your spiritual perspective, and your ability to understand situations effortlessly. So that is something that's also coming up for you, because the star is Aquarius. So anything in Aquarius is actually bringing you blessings at this full moon. Jupiter is also in Aquarius. It's about to move into your sign, and it's going to be harmonizing with this energy. So it is likely that in the background, quite quietly, you could have a wish being fulfilled that people aren't aware of. And if you are experiencing a wish coming true at this time, it's because of the work you've done behind the scenes and how much you've actually contributed to others. So this could be work in terms of the spiritual field. It could be service to others, caring, healing professions, nurses, doctors. You could work in a care home. You could be a nurse. You could be working in public service in some capacity. But a lot of you are getting an ability to help people, and there's also going to be a sign around this full moon that you're on the right path, and that if there's been delays or obstacles, it's just been to do with timing, because we have the easy does it card. So one of the things I want to say to you, Pisces, if you are traveling anywhere, do not speed. And that's not to scare you, just make as much time as possible for any journey you need to take. Or if there's delays in schooling, or there's delays in education or something like that, just trust in the process and don't force anything around this full moon. Just be open to the way it can actually happen for you. Mars is also moving into Cancer around this time, and the two cards that came up for you were sexual freedom and chivalry. So for a lot of you, I feel like there's going to be, especially with the star card, you could be involved with someone that really is very beautiful to you, you're really very attracted to, or in a current relationship, you guys could be really spicing things up. They could be bringing you flowers, they could be bringing you gifts, you could be doing that for them. There could be a lot of intimacy and a lot of care and a lot of happiness at this time, especially with the two doves that are flying above this and the lotus flower. A lot of you could be opening your heart chakra, and it could actually be activated by what you read or what you learn, you know, the information you're taking in through books, through study. Those informations, those texts, a lot of it could be speaking to you on a spiritual level. There might be some past life stuff. You could be reading about Greek mythology, for example, and you could have had a past life in Greece. But I do feel for a lot of you that you've really been looking out for somebody or really helping people in some capacity, and if you have, just know that you're about to be sent a blessing to thank you for your service, because some of you are going to feel really very appreciated service-wise around this full moon. And in terms of the astrology, I think a lot of you are seeing a higher perspective, especially in terms of communication and how maybe it's not helped you, but a lot of people are going to want your words and you're going to feel quite confident about it, Pisces. So that is what I have for you, and I'll see you soon. Bye. Hi Aries, and welcome to this segment on the full moon for your sign. So Aries, this is an 8th house full moon for you. That means that it is going to highlight areas of your significant other, your shared resources in terms of finance, and your intimate sector to do with passion, to do with all the primal instincts that we possess. And it's also going to highlight your psychological breakthroughs. So you may be experiencing around this full moon some key awareness in terms of either your relationships or your money. We have for you the intimacy card. So the full moon is in your intimate sector, meaning that you may around this time be experiencing profound closeness with an intimate partner, or you may be longing for a partnership of some sort, or you may be seeking more closeness in a relationship. With the energies opposing the Taurus, Sun, Mercury, Venus and Uranus, because there's an element of surprise to the Taurus energy, there may be something surprising comes up surrounding money. So it may be that a lot of you maybe have around this time an unexpected job offer coming up with the Knight of Pentacles, or you may be expected to start learning something in terms of schooling with the 8 of Pentacles and the 3 of Pentacles. You may be working as a team, working on a project. You may be recruited for something. You might get a job offer. You may be experiencing some kind of recognition for the work that you do or how you're fitting in with your workplace. And this might improve your money unexpectedly. Or there may be new things that you need to pay for, such as schooling or classes, or new ways to You may find inventive ways to reduce your expenditure, or you may find more inventive ways to make money. And this might be the beginning of a new project for you, because we also have the Dreamer card, which is the Fool, a leap of faith, follow your dreams, unexpected opportunities. So I think for you, Aries, there's an unexpected opportunity coming up surrounding money or surrounding work, where you can really showcase yourself, you can really work with others. It doesn't seem to be solo, it seems to be something that can really benefit your money, or it may take some investment as well. With your intimate relationships, because of the intimacy card and the sorceress card, there's a very magical quality to your intimate relationships. So it might be a full moon to ask for what you want in terms of your relationship. Maybe you need more communication, maybe you need more cuddles, maybe you need something like that. But with the sorceress card, there's a manifestation process. And maybe for some of you, you're manifesting an intimate relationship around this full moon. I do see with the impatience card that you're finding yourself quite impatient in Taurus season. And I feel like this could be to do with the fact that your ruler Mars is slowed down in Cancer. It's not as direct, it's sort of to the side rather than charging full steam ahead the way that you like. So it may be that something in your life is moving a bit more slow. But whatever in your life is moving slow, Aries, with the Knight of Pentacles, it's important to honor your commitments and to be sure about what it is that you want to commit to, because it might be that there's a long-term process in the works for you, especially when it comes to saving for a home. Because of the Cancer element to this, Mars and Cancer, you might be saving for a home. This is in positive alignment. Or it may be with the Aquarian energy being squared off that you may find a dream in particular is just taking a bit longer than you'd like. But it's important at this time to trust in your manifestation process and trust that what you're working for will come to you, even if it's not immediate. So that is what I have for you, Aries. I'll talk to you soon. Bye. So Taurus, this is very much a relationship full moon for you, highlighting your feelings surrounding your significant other. But also with the 7th house, it's highlighting your feelings surrounding your opposition, your enemies, the people that challenge you. And so around this full moon, you may be more paranoid or you may be more suspicious of people. And that's just something to bear in mind, because it is going to be opposing your energy. You're really going to feel a little bit more in the spotlight. When the full moon opposes your energy, it means there's a full moon light being shone on you, but also your partnerships and your enemies, if you have any, or just people that disagree with you, you know, people that you're not feeling so much in alignment with. Some of you might feel like you're being challenged or you're being pressured by your partner to express yourself or to open up or something like this. There could be some challenges in terms of partnerships. But I do feel with you that you're also, because this is harmonizing with Cancer, the Mars energy, Mars and Cancer, and Mars rules your relationships. I also feel for you that this full moon is bringing anything to the surface in order to aid rather than be to the detriment of your communication style. One of the things that came up for you as well was the expansion card. Now, Mars in Cancer means that your relationships will get a really important voice. There will be more communication. You will be articulating yourself. Maybe some conflict that comes up around this time or some surprises with you that come up is so that you can expand and communicate and connect with people. Because we also have the luminosity card, and I feel like with the expansion and the luminosity card, a lot of you are really glowing. You know, with Venus, your ruler, being in your sign, and Uranus, there's an excitement about you that other people can't help but react to. People are excited about for you. They can see you glowing, they can see you opening up, and they can see you being open to new experiences. Some people in your life that you've been very steady with, though, partnerships or family, might feel a little bit threatened by this initially. But I feel for you that it is important that you can radiate these changes within you through warmth. With this energy, this full moon, you might be realizing that you've got a certain glow to you, and it could make other people jealous, because Scorpio is a jealous energy. It could be making people around you jealous or fearful or envious that you're going to abandon them in some way capacity. But there really is a beautiful luminosity to you that everyone can't help but see. And it feels as well with this energy, the beautiful light that's coming up in this card, and she's got the world in her belly there. She's sort of giving birth to the world. It reminds me of the Uranus story with Uranus and his wife, and how they were creating these things, and they could create really amazing things too, even if he was disgusted by some of the things in the story, that he did communicate that he did regret creating, but you could be in the process of creating something quite wonderful for yourself, or generating something. Maybe you are planning to change your wardrobe, change your style, and maybe just people are noticing it. It feels like the more that you glow, the more you might notice that some people are initially a bit threatened by this. But because of Mars being in Cancer, I feel like it is to aid your communication more than anything else, you know. It's just that you're going to have such a radiance to you that I think others can't help but notice. You're also, with the High Priestess, the Medicine Woman, and the Manifestation card, you're manifesting something for yourself. And this makes sense because it's your season, and the full moon is telling you what is, you know, working against you. The 7th house is enemies. So if there's something, an obstacle in your life that you need to overcome, I feel like it will be revealed with the Scorpio full moon. And because it is quite surprising, I feel that the surprise is mainly coming from you or a partner. There could be something going on that you didn't see coming with a partner. That doesn't have to be a bad thing. But the High Priestess card, listen to your intuition, have patience, and consider carefully what you want before acting. So don't make any drastic changes in relationships. Make sure that you feel very aligned before you make any decisions. And I don't think anybody feels fully aligned on the day of the full moon, at least. But with the Medicine Woman and the Manifestation card, I do think that you're manifesting something for yourself, Taurus. It could be that it is to do with Jupiter being in your career sector, because Jupiter is in support with this energy. And, but it is moving into Pisces soon. And I feel with Jupiter going through and coming out of your career sector, Taurus, you might be manifesting something quite special in terms of career, especially if you're in a profession where you're helping people. That might be something coming up, some recognition, some manifestation of work and being recognized for what it is that you do, and maybe also moving on to the next level, provided you don't restrict yourself, okay, by your own mind. So that is what I have for you, Taurus, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye. Hi Gemini, welcome to your segment on the Scorpio full moon. So Gemini, this could be highlighting some issues surrounding health, well-being, your diet, your fitness, and your general mental health as well. Because this full moon is happening in your 6th house, and it is going to be opposing your 12th house, which is to do with your unconscious, your subconscious mind, your instincts, your what's hidden within you, really. And so this full moon could be exposing some issues you have surrounding your emotional well-being, your physical well-being, and things like that. I do see that this full moon may be a time when you give up ingesting something. It could be something you drink, something you eat. You could be going organic, you could be going vegetarian, but a lot of you are going to be detoxing in some way that is to do with health. Some of you could be going on a social media break, or some of you could just be removing something from your life that you think causes you distress, something that you don't feel is good for you anymore. And I feel like this is a good thing, because I feel with the instinct card and the confusion, you're getting some clarity in a matter that's been confusing for quite a while, and your instincts are going to be sharp because you have so much happening in your 12th house around this time. You could be processing some internal feelings that have been holding you back. They could be to do with worthiness, because we have the worthiness card here, and Mars is moving into your sector of worth. So with Mars going through there, you could be addressing some issues you have with self-worth and with value, and also issues that you have with money. You could be more determined and have more energy to fix these things and work through them. I also feel if there's been any confusion with your relationships, your family, or your friends, this is something that's also going to be brought to clarity around this full moon as well. Because we have the 4 of fire, which is the 4 of wands, and the 3 of cups. I think some of you are planning a wedding, or some of you are getting engaged, or some of you are getting married, or some of you are having a ceremony of some kind that you're planning for, that's going to be really exciting, because we have celebration, wedding, graduation, or birth announcement, the need to have more fun. We also have the 4 of wands, contentment, peace and abundance, a happy home life, the successful completion of a project. So I feel for a lot of you, because this is a 6th house moon as well, you may be celebrating something that you've achieved at work, or something that you have achieved in terms of your health, your diet, your fitness, maybe weight loss, maybe weight gain, maybe something like that. You have something to celebrate that you're really proud of, and I feel like other people want to congratulate you on this as well. And I do feel with the 3 of cups and the purification, if you've had conflict with a friend, that could be something that's going to be healed around this time as well. We do have the Aquarius energy causing a bit of friction with this full moon as well, and that's going to be in your 9th house. So you may find that you need to accept people for who they are if they have different political viewpoints or they have different opinions in terms of the way things should be, because I do feel like there's a lot of energy with you that really wants to connect, especially to people from your past or people you've not seen in a while. And because Gemini, you're processing so much emotion at the moment with Uranus there, I feel like a lot of you are being released from an old pattern of behaviour or an old way of living that's really not been working for you, and you've something to celebrate and you want to connect to other people more. So this is a really beautiful full moon for you. That's all I have for you, Gemini, and I'll see you soon. Hi Cancer, so welcome to this segment for you on the full moon in Scorpio. This is happening in your 5th house, which is very creative, very passionate and very romantic, and your cards reflect this as well actually. We have the 2 of Cups and the Lovers. A lot of you could be falling in love around this time, or a lot of you could be manifesting a soulmate relationship. Love energy seems to be deepening, and it could very likely with the past life card be a very significant soulmate in your life with this 5th house energy. Now, because it is going to be opposing the Taurus energy, which is your 11th house, it could be that this is something you've been wishing for a very long time. Someone you meet through a friend, someone you meet through a group or a collective cause, or it could be someone who's very involved in causes. But with this full moon being in the 5th house, I feel like for a lot of you, this full moon energy in your 5th house is bringing a lot of love and romance into your life, particularly because it's harmonizing with your 1st house. So I feel that you're being blessed with love, and I feel like you're being blessed with a lot of passion, a lot of excitement. And it's funny as well because Pluto is going retrograde in your relationship sector, so some of you may actually be reconnecting with somebody with this full moon, or it could just simply be that you're hearing from somebody. But I also feel with the sexual freedom card, there really is a lot of romantic and passionate energy, especially if you're already in a relationship or you're dating somebody. It feels like things just get exceptionally spicy for you guys. And you're feeling really connected to somebody, or you're at least developing feelings for somebody in your life. This could be somebody new that comes up around this time, and they might just come out of nowhere. And it might just be that you suddenly realize you have feelings for a friend, or it may be that the spark just comes back into a relationship in a big way. And interestingly, with the mysticism card, it feels like it could have been from something you were manifesting or something you were learning. Maybe with the sexual freedom card, some of you are studying the is it the Kama Sutra? I don't know how to pronounce it. My pronunciation in this video has been shocking, I've noticed. The Kama Sutra, something like that with the mysticism card. But I do feel like maybe you've just been manifesting a soulmate or a reconnection or something. It's very love focused, your cards. They're very creative as well. But it could be that you are creating a project that is inspired by love. That could be where your creativity is coming from. We also have the prosperity card. So the universe is pouring its abundance out to you. So I don't know what's happening for you, Cancer, but I feel like there's going to be a lot of beautiful love energy and a lot of romantic energy around this time. It is a 5th house full moon, so that is your cup spilling over with that creative, romantic, passionate feeling. And despite the fact that there's some jarring energy with this, it could just be that the jarring energy creates more passion, because we do have Saturn in your 8th house. So I'm feeling like the friction from that, the square to that, is causing a tension, but I feel like it's a very passionate tension is coming up for you. So it could be that there really is a lot of exciting energy, intimate relationships, carefully weigh your decisions, good health, and a relationship that continues to grow closer, forgiveness, and the positive resolution of a conflict. So if you're having conflict with a partner about the past, this might be a full moon where you really get to the bottom of it and you're able to let it go. So that's what I have for you, Cancer. I'll talk to you soon. Bye. Hi Leo, welcome to your segment on the Scorpio full moon. So Leo, this is affecting your home and family sector, and it's going to be opposing your career sector, your reputation, your success. And so you might be finding that you're needing to find new ways to balance these areas. That came up quite strongly in your cards. We have the balance card, the guilt, and the workaholic. So some of you may feel like you're doing too much at work and not spending enough time with your family, or vice versa. Or some of you may be having guilt surrounding the past. Some of you might be feeling like you spent too much time working at something you don't want to work at anymore. There could be a bit of regret. There could be a lack of balance between home and family. And this full moon is really going to amplify those energies. Now, one of the things that came up for you very clearly was the Strength card and the Forgiveness card, which the Strength card actually says, great inner strength, release harsh judgments, forgiveness and compassion. So a lot of you need to forgive yourself for something, or forgive someone in your family or in your past something, because the fourth house is also to do with the past. So a lot of you are finding that this full moon is creating a new way of looking at the past through creating your future. You know, the sparks of genius are happening in your career sector, your reputation, and you may be finding that you're able to forgive something in the past by being proud of who you are now and what you've accomplished. And it may also be possible that some of you are going to have a surprise in terms of work that could affect your money, but also help you create new conditions for yourself, because we have the Empress card. First and foremost, some of you need to call your mother, some of you need to spend more time with your mother, or forgive your mother possibly for something, or forgive yourself as being a parent. Maybe you've made mistakes, or maybe you have you wish you'd done something different, or you feel bad about something, but you need to be able, around the Scorpio full moon, to release it and to forgive yourself, because everyone makes mistakes. You know, it's like Uranus, he created things he wished he hadn't, but he still created amazing things too. That's just life. It's just the differences in it. Sometimes things go well that we make, sometimes they don't. And a lot of you are finding with the Forgiveness card and the Strength card that you're a lot stronger than you feel. That was doubly true with the Sekhmet card. You're stronger than you think you are, and your strength secures a happy outcome. So really be proud of yourself around this time, Leo. Forgive yourself for something maybe you wished you'd done differently, you wished you'd changed. And I do feel with the Uranus energy, your career sector is going to be highlighted in a positive way. It's likely that you will need to balance your work and your home life, but there could be positive surprises for you with the Empress card in terms of work, and people might appreciate you a lot more than you realize. And you might find that out around the Scorpio full moon. And as we get into Taurus season, your career is going to be amplified, and it's time to get over some of that imposter syndrome that we've been talking about, okay? So if you feel some feelings from the past crop up, maybe surrounding the mother or surrounding a significant female in your life, it's important to just forgive yourself and forgive what you can. I'm not telling you really to forgive anybody else, because that's your personal story. And obviously this is general and I don't know who I'm talking to. So just make sure that you're being very kind to yourself. If not forgiving anybody else, make sure that you're okay with you and you're forgiving yourself for any mistakes that you've made, because in this card it says, I forgive myself, I am forgiven. And that is going to be a very strong energy for your career and going for the things and the opportunities that are coming to you that you really deserve. So that's what I have for you, Leo, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye. Hi Virgo, and welcome to this full moon in Scorpio. This is happening in your communication sector, and it's going to be generating an opposition with your sector of higher self, higher thought, philosophy. It's highlighting both your education sector. So your knowledge is power around this time, Virgo. You may be having a really strong epiphany about your belief system, or about your philosophy, or your religious standpoint, or your political standpoint, and you're really on a search. You're on a quest for knowledge. I can see that here with the Page of Wands. News of an exciting new endeavor. Use your originality and ingenuity. My pronunciation in this just hasn't gone well. Anyway, there could be exciting news coming up for you, because a full moon in the third house can mean that you hear from somebody exciting. So it could be success in some capacity, Virgo, because I am seeing with the Six of Wands, you could be experiencing news or an opportunity that is going to be a victory for you. We actually have exciting news and good news is on the way, public recognition or rewards. So because this is happening and highlighting your third and ninth house, it could be to do with university, it could be to do with school, and it could be to do with a course that you're attending. So that's really exciting, Virgo. But we also have the energies of self-worth and victim. So for you, I feel as Mars is going into your 11th house of Cancer, it's really going to be pushing you to be your own hero. It's really going to be pushing you to go after your goals and what it is that you have felt denied of for some time. The full moon is also clashing with your Aquarian 6th house of work. So I feel like some of you might not be knowing your worth in the workplace. And with that Six of Wands and the Page of Wands, maybe there's an opportunity available to you that would be a better fit. Or maybe you should start looking for new opportunities where you're recognized. So some of you might not be feeling completely recognized in work, or maybe feeling overburdened with work, and you need to know your worth. And also with this victim card, from small acorns, mighty oak trees grow. So don't don't undersell yourself around this full moon. Hopefully for you, it highlights that you're a better communicator. You might also be getting news from neighbors or siblings surrounding a work opportunity, which could be really exciting for you. So the full moon energy for you is make sure that you're, voicing yourself, because the more authentic you are and the more you voice yourself, the more you'll be able to distinguish where is a better fit for you and where is not. So don't be afraid to speak your truth around this time, but also do steer clear from very heavy arguments surrounding politics and religion and things, because you might just feel very misunderstood because of the opposing energy. And it's not that your opinions aren't valid, it's just that it might not necessarily feel like it goes as well as you wanted, and that's just Uranus. So we also have the King of Cups, the Soulmates card, and the Divine Passion. So I feel for a lot of you as well, with the Six of Wands, you might be getting recognition for some charity work or some healing work. And around this time, I feel like there might be, with that third house, you may be communicating with a water sign that might go a lot better than you expected, or you might be having a conversation with a water sign who can help you in your career, or they can help you understand yourself better. I feel like for a lot of you with the Passion card and the King of Cups, some of you are getting good news surrounding what your heart's true desire is. So a passion of yours, it could be a love relationship, but it could also be something, if you're in the creative professions, it could be something creative. But with the Soulmates card and the King of Cups, some of you are going to have confirmation that you're with the right person. Okay, someone that you can trust and someone that's really on your page emotionally. So that's what I have for you, Virgo. I'll talk to you soon. Bye. Libra, this is your Scorpio full moon reading. So for you, Libra, this is happening very financial sides of the sky for you. With this full moon, you might be wrapping up something financial, maybe an income, a source of income. You might be changing jobs, or you might be spending money that you're due. Could be tax related, because we have so much going on in the 8th house of Taurus, which is to do with taxes and rebirth. A lot of you are going to be having a real psychological breakthrough at this time, because I'm seeing the recovery and the discovery card. There's so much energy ramped up in your 8th house. I feel like a psychological breakthrough makes a lot of sense. Some of you are uncovering a key, something you really needed to know. You're coming into some information that really speaks to you, and it could be to do with the heart. It could be to do with how you love, how you engage with people, how you react to someone on an intimate level. And this is really going to be very beneficial for you, because we also have the Wheel. A time of positive change, a situation moves forward, fortune is on your side. So I feel like this discovery, this key, this full moon resets you for something very lucky. Because we also have the Moon card and the Five of Wands. So important psychic insights, events behind the scenes, release fears that hold you back, bothersome details, conflict with others. So you may be getting some really important insight into people in your life that are challenging, or some financial challenges at this time. With the Moon and the Wheel of Fortune, this full moon itself is really going to turn around the areas in your life that have been very troublesome and difficult. So if you've been experiencing conflict with people, or challenges at work, or challenges in your relationship, this full moon unearths what needs to be seen, what needs to be known, and really turns your luck around. But I feel like with that 8th house, it is internal. You're having these really strong insights, these really strong words of wisdom are coming from you. You have the key, it's that key and imagery, and the recovery makes me think that you're really overcoming something that's been bothering you for a while, and Uranus can do that in your 8th house. It can really set you free from the things that have been troubling you on the inside, so you can have that phoenix moment. We also have the Maeve card, cycles and rhythms. Honor the cycles of your body, energy levels and emotions. For a lot of women, because there's so much going on in the 8th house, this could be to do with your hormones and your reproductive cycle. You could be experiencing some awareness around this time about what's going on with you, if that's a health issue. Or a lot of you could just be honoring your body cycles and learning to rest when you need to rest, and go when you need to go, just honoring your body and knowing that everything is cyclical, because we also have the Wheel card here. So I feel like if things haven't been going well, Libra, this is a very good sign that the wheel is turning and you're going into a very exciting new cycle, and one where you can trust your intuition as well, especially around money. We also have the Chivalry card, which is very exciting. So because this is going to be in challenge with your 5th house of love and romance, a lot of you are going to be upping your boundaries and upping your standards. And this is really good, because this means it's going to attract more chivalrous people into your life. Similarly, some of you could be making the first move on somebody you like. some of you could be going after or pursuing a relationship with somebody at this time. But just make sure that you do, because of this Uranus energy in your 8th house, if you are single and you're looking for somebody, just make sure that you give it time and you don't expect everything to move a million miles an hour, because it's better to get to know somebody slowly. But I do feel with the Aquarian energy, with Saturn being there, some of you could be asked out on a date by someone who's really quite chivalrous, or you could be doing something very chivalrous for yourself or somebody else. So that is what I have for you, Libra, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.